Marie Lallemand, qui est Senior Vice President de Nielsen, et qui va nous présenter cette étude donc, sur les consommateurs à travers le monde, quelle est leur morale dans cette situation de crise depuis 2008. Nous allons donc commencer. Bonne journée à tous et on se retrouve après le jingle.
Bonjour mesdames, bonjour messieurs, bonjour à tous. Merci beaucoup à l'OCDE de nous accueillir et au New World Forum de permettre à Nielsen de parler des consommateurs une fois de plus sur ce podium cette année. Puisque c'est un forum international, je vais parler en anglais pour faire cette présentation. And before we start to talk about the moral of the consumers, we're going to show you a little video because Nielsen's mission is to follow what consumers watch and buy around the world. And because of what we heard yesterday, we know there are some structural trends that influence what consumers do. And with this short video, we're going to see some of them. So, thank you. In a very quick snapshot, we see that there are some structural trends happening that will not go away, whether these are demographic changes, urbanization, middle class, as well as the digitalization. So I'd like to mention what Monsieur Fitoussi said yesterday about us preparing the future by using a recipe of the past that we apply today. And what we try to do at Nielsen is give you some understanding of what the consumer thinks and do so that we can prepare for them that new world. First thing that we would like to talk about is the confidence of the consumers in their current situation and in their future. This is a barometer that we follow in 60 countries, and that allows us every quarter to measure how they feel about their economy, the country, and their personal situation. We've done here a feedback to look at long term for the new world. We've done here a feedback for the last 10 years. And what you see here is in 2005, before the crisis, you see the level of morale. So everything that is above 100 means that people are positive and optimistic about their future and their current situation. And under, of course, is more of a pessimistic situation. So the average 10 years ago was 82, with North America quite high, Middle East and Africa, and then Asia-Pac and Europe and LATAM on the average. You see here the numbers for just 1 year within the crisis, and everybody dropped, everybody down. So the morale globally was quite uniform, actually, and it was quite low as well. The key, very interesting point is what's happening now, a couple of years after we've been installed into this new norm that we spoke about yesterday. Actually, the picture is pretty disparate when you compare from one region to another. Let's speak about Europe. Europe is not the over-optimistic region of the world, of course. However, we can observe that within the last 5 years, the morale has gone up. We won almost 10 points compared to the bad moments of the crisis. The key phenomenon here is definitely the US, with the morale being so much up compared to down how they were during the crisis. Clearly, Asia-Pac is also quite optimistic. But what it shows here is that, yes, the morale is not yet back to the level of 2005, before the crisis, but we see signs of improvements in all the region, in most of the regions. A key point, however, is that this trend is always quite slow to recover. So very quick to go down. And here I'm comparing Brazil and US. Brazil, with the situation of the economy this year, clearly the morale has dropped tremendously. Whereas we heard yesterday from Mr. Goria the results of the economy in the US this year with a 2.5 growth, and definitely we'll see the morale picking up as well. So we observe that there is a key trend between the improvement of the morale of the people in the country and their propension to spend and their propension to act as a consumer and develop the economy. So when we do this survey, we also ask the consumers, what's your main concerns? What do you want people, governments, institutions to fix for you? What's making you worried? And clearly, those are the 4 points that globally are mentioned. They have not changed for the last 4 years. So since the crisis, we saw a tremendous focus on job security, economy as a main concern for the population around the world, health picking up as well. And then also, work-life balance, especially in emerging markets. No changes, quite flat, and we don't anticipate this to be a revolution, even with the progress made in the economy in some of the regions of the world, like North America. However, what is very interesting is that there is a big change in a very short period of time in Europe. And what we saw is definitely the terrorism picking up in the last 3 quarters of this survey in all countries in Europe. The rest is pretty the same as we saw. Clearly, job, economy being the priority, as well as food prices. We didn't speak about that in some of the regions, picking up as well. More and more people worried about price increase, which is something we don't experience neither in North America nor in Europe, where we see the opposite. And then the health. If we compare as well can I have the charts here? Thank you. If we compare as well what's happening in terms of the perception of the people about their job prospect, here we see as well a very strong difference between the mentality of European shoppers and the mentality of US shoppers. Clearly, the pessimism has always been there, and in Europe I would say it's improving slowly, but this is slow. Whereas in the US it went down big time, and it's picking up as well quickly. So a very different approach to a same subject for those two different populations. When we look at also the propension of the consumers to save after they've spent what they have to spend too, clearly we see the same pattern here between Europe and US, a difference in terms of ability and propension to project yourself into the future, where US population is looking at saving much more than they used to after the crisis. And we also asked those consumers, so do you think this is now a good time to buy things that you want to buy? And we monitor that over time. This is a feeling shared by 43% of the global consumers. 43% of the respondents are saying, yes, it's a good moment to buy. So yes, it's under the average, but it was 10 points less during the crisis. So 4 years ago, this was 10 points less in 2011. So clearly we see a trend of, yes, consumers willing to buy more, willing to contribute more to the economy. When we compare that with the trends that were mentioned in the OECD report for next year, we have also, although the growth is slow, we have some hopes that the consumers are really following what they are saying here and doing as well. Just another little comparison between Europe, only 34% of the consumers here are saying that they are willing to buy things now. Whereas in the US, we are at almost 60%. So again, a very strong difference. However, again, in Europe, this is progressing year after year after year since the crisis by 1 or 2 points. Another key trend that we observe in these consumers is the fact that they are changing the way they buy. They are looking for proximity, convenience store. They are looking for easy to purchase way of consuming. And clearly here you see the trend of the growth of those channels that we monitor around the world. The big boxes, as we call them, the hypermarkets and large supermarkets, still represent more than 50% of the sales in the world. However, their growth is under the average. We in Nielsen are covering what people buy in grocery shops, and the growth is 3% this year, close to what was said by the OECD in terms of global economy and global trade of the 2.9%. You clearly see that small stores are making the difference in terms of growth. Why is that? Well, people tell us they want things easier. They want everything that is near me, something that I can buy immediately. We see the development of stores. Look at Shanghai. You see development of stores within the office building, within the locations and where people are living at a high speed. And these are not only stores that, like we see here in France, these are stores that provide also service. And this is the case in many megapoles, actually, where service like you can pay your bill, you can pick up your laundry, you can organize your holidays. I mean, stores that really provides everything I need that moment in a specific location. So that's a very different approach. And this approach is very close to what people experience when they buy online. Because online is anything I want, anywhere I want, anytime I want, anyhow I want it to be delivered now even. So probably this trend of proximity and store convenience had something to do with a deep change in the mentality of the shoppers, in the way they expect the consumption to be happening, and in the way they expect people to help them consume. So, of course, e-commerce is big. 1 billion of global consumers are saying they are willing to spend and to buy online. Grocery shopping, not to talk about anything. We're here talking about food. People are ready to buy. We monitor that 27% are already doing it. So these are big numbers and big trends. And of course, there is a very interesting phenomenon in terms of what's driving and influencing those sales. Because of the e-commerce approach, people are searching more and more, and they trust what they read on blogs and forums, much more than they trusted when we measured what they heard on TV or news, of course. But this e-commerce trends is creating a connection far beyond consuming. It's creating a connection of awareness of the reason why people are buying this, or supporting a cause, or investing on sustainability, or investing on help to do good around the world. Another point that we cannot say is a trend anymore. It's more a reality and something that we experience day to day, all of us in our lives. This is the fact that connection or connectivity is in our DNA. So 40% of the world population is online. 500 million of tweets will be sent today. And Facebook, they have now 1.5 billion of people connecting per month. These are the numbers of October. When we link that, and also 71% of the global consumers have a smartphone. When we linked that to electricity, in Africa, for example, there are more smartphones than electricity connections. So in emerging and strongly growing countries, definitely connectivity and the fact that people find ways to make that happen is becoming the norm. Disconnected commerce is really what's happening now, and you see more and more connections between store, what people look at home through the e-commerce, and what they go and look at store. So more and more connection between from home to stores, and a definition on who is going to service what expectation of the consumers. But definitely shopping, consuming is coming into the house, and it's no more something that you have to do by going somewhere. So that has also, depending on how this is used, that has also an influence on how the economy can be more in more growth. A leading consumer for these trends is, of course, the millennials. The millennials are those of us in the room that were born between that are now 20 to 34 years old. Yesterday we acknowledged that there will be 75% of the workforce in the world in 2030. A big influence on the human factor, of course, and how corporations are going to be able to match those talents together and making it work for our economy and our world, our new world to be built. Clearly, the millennials are trusting their world. They are the most confident that things are good and can be even better. So this sounds strange because we heard yesterday that a lot of them are worried about their jobs, but it's not because they are worried that they don't believe that they're going to do something with their life. And it's a very different spirit. It's a very different aspect of thinking. For example, the millennials, they don't think they're going to stay more than 2 years in the company. So when you ask them the question, 40% of them think they're going to leave a company after 2 years. Whereas the same number for the baby boomers or the older generation, 60% of us think that we're going to stay 6 years and more in the company for which we're working. So the importance of those trends, the fact that they are confident, even if they are worried, and the way they will fix the issues for themselves means a lot in terms of loyalty and in terms of impact to the way companies will hire them, will motivate them, will keep them, and the way they are going to contribute to our new world and to the economy. Another interesting point is we ask all our consumers what are their main priorities in life and what is it that they are aspiring for. So very clearly, millennials, okay, health, but clearly make money. Make money is the second one. So it's all about me, it's all about how I'm gonna make life good for me, and it's all about how I'm gonna make that happen. So clearly strong, and they are driving this trend, and they are a different animal compared to the baby boomers, for sure. We want to summarize, and maybe it looks a little caricatural. We want to summarize those global consumers, the millennials, in two ways: digital and sustainability, because these are two trends that we observe around the world. But clearly, the millennials are leading this. Sorry. So when we ask all the consumers their intention to buy online, definitely millennials want to buy online. By far, these are the ones that are going to drive and continue to drive the e-commerce. And when we want to know which group of consumers are ready to pay more for products that are a product or service that are doing good or doing fine in terms of sustainability. Millennials, again, 3/4 of them said that they are ready to buy something, service, products that will do good for the society. This is very positive. When we heard about yesterday about the challenges ahead of us in the way we're going to rebuild the new world, the new generation is really looking at solutions to make that happen. And they are willing to contribute to that. The global average for that number is 66. On a positive way as well, it has increased by 20 points in the last 4 years. In 2011, 46% of the population was willing to pay more for products or goods that would do good for the climate, for the environment, for the sustainability of their world. So there is a key trend, but again, the millennials are clearly driving this one. Another question that we ask is the percentage of people willing to work for companies that are doing good. So when you have the choice, what do you prefer? Or do you proactively look for a company that clearly is doing good? And when we have 67% of the population interested to work for a company that's doing good for the environment and sustainability, again, the millennials, 72% of them wants this to happen. Whereas, the baby boomers, it's above average, but definitely less. This is a key generation differentiator. When you compare the baby boomers in purple and the millennials, all around the planet, the millennials are the one willing to work for companies that are doing good, much more than the baby boomers or the other generation would want to do. So when we speak to them, when we communicate to them, it's about digital and it's about also doing good and attracting them by involving them in the way they are going to change their own world. If we ask them their satisfaction about the current company they're working for and how they are delivering around doing good, clearly we see that there is a margin of improvement. And that's also a way for those large corporations that want to attract those workforce in the way they want to engage and convince them that, yes, by working for that company, they are also contributing to a better world. Nielsen is doing a survey that will be released for COP21. And we wanted to understand whether they were positive or negative about the impact that this current world can have on the future of the climate change. And surprisingly, they were extremely positive. A vast majority of them said that they believe climate change can be transformed into something that will create jobs. They believe that green growth is the future, so it's not a bad word anymore. This is really a word that they embrace. And it's back to the first page when we say they are overconfident compared to the rest of the population, even if they are worried. So they see this as an opportunity, and they will embrace companies and ideas that will help them contribute on that. Last Zoom, because of today's forum, the future is also the women. And the women will be even more powerful in terms of their ability to consume. We saw that in 2020, the estimation is that women will own or control 28 trillion of the global consumer spend. So definitely a different group of people to look at when we want to activate and define the new world in terms of their impact on the economy. Despite, to the opposite of the millennials, the women are not confident. They are much less confident than the men around the world about their current situation and the future of their situation. We know that there is a link between spending and confidence, and that's definitely something that is impacting the slow growth of the economy moving forward. We know also, and a lot of women's resource group are working at that. We know that women are less confident than men in general, in anything that we do, actually. However, there is an opportunity, definitely, to work around what their aspirations are, making sure the world we define is making it easier for the women to contribute, to feel part of it, to have a career while taking care of their family, and to work in an environment where they can also change the world without having to compromise on too many aspects of their aspirations. So having said that, I just would like to mention these big numbers. Not only we need women because they have the purchasing power, but also they're going to be the workforce of the future. And the way we absorb those 90 millions of women joining the workforce in the next 2 years is also linked to how large corporations and companies can change, adapt the way they are managing their workload and the way they are managing their time. Yesterday, I had a conversation with Engie, and Engie is the only company that I know that has more female board members than men. This is a premiere, and we can be proud of that, and more will follow, because that's where the workforce is going as well. Work-life balance and corporate social responsibility are two themes that are important for women. And here again, there is the opportunity for employers to change the way or to improve the way they are perceived by the women in the workplace. More than what's happening for men again. So in conclusion, very quickly, we went through the mega trends and also some of the differences that are happening step by step on a current conjunctural point of view in terms of economic behaviors and consumptions. So clearly, the economic development needs to be, can be achieved, making the human piece and the environmental piece connected. And we see that for groups of consumers that will really matter and that are already important to the consumption. A second point is about technology. Yesterday there were a lot of debate about technology, driving changes. Actually, we think we've passed that, because now technology enables changes. Technology is so much part of every consumer life in one way or another, that this is something consumers are embracing to help the change more than to wait for the change. And then the last point, consumers are the driver of the changes, and especially two groups, millennials and women, that we see are demanding different approach both to workplace, as a workforce, and to the way we treat the world and the universe. Thank you very much.
Merci pour cette présentation fort intéressante. L'avenir appartient au millénium?
L'avenir appartient au millénium et nous appartient à nous si on est capable de les accompagner dans cet avenir.
Et une question, vous avez parlé de l'impact du terrorisme sur le moral des consommateurs. Est-ce que ça touche également le millénium? Comment ils réagissent face au terrorisme?
Oui, ça c'est vraiment un trend qu'on a vu se développer cette année dans plusieurs pays en Europe qui touche l'ensemble des consommateurs, y compris les millennials.
D'accord. Est-ce qu'il y a une question dans la salle, peut-être pour terminer? La présentation était fort intéressante et plutôt encourageante puisque le moral des consommateurs... Il y a une question, on va prendre la question tout au fond là-bas. Mademoiselle, si je... Merci de vous présenter.
Si, ça marche. Bonjour, Sabine Sessou, journaliste. J'aurais aimé savoir où se trouve l'Afrique dans vos statistiques, parce que je n'ai pas bien compris si c'était dans le Moyen-Orient ou dans une autre région du monde, et si l'Afrique se distingue d'une manière ou d'une autre, de manière peut-être plus claire que les autres zones géographiques.
Absolument. Donc, en Afrique, nous suivons 5 pays. L'Afrique, dans les statistiques que je vous ai présentées, est dans Middle East Africa, MIE. Et l'Afrique se distingue par un optimisme très fort. Quand on parle des millennials, alors clairement, ils drive la tendance. Optimisme beaucoup plus fort. Accès à la technologie, accès aux smartphones, incroyable. 85%, je crois, dans les 5 pays où nous étudions ce phénomène sont équipés d'un smartphone. Connectivité et également optimisme par rapport au futur.